Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Hooligan Report. I'm your host as always, SM, and with me after a couple of weeks off we have Typeclub.
Oh, hola.
And we've also got Cooksen.
Bonjour.
Good to have you boys back. What's your take on the season so far? We haven't chatted to you guys for a few weeks.
Well, it's probably, personal highlight?
Yeah, personal highlight, go for it.
That would be Messi tearing Boateng a new arsehole.
I think that's going to be that's going to be Typeclub's low light, isn't it?
Yeah, it wouldn't be my highlight, that's for sure. That would be my biggest disappointment, the way that Boateng just let him through like that. Very, very disappointing.
Tell you what, I'm pretty surprised that Barcelona's actually made it to the final.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Last time I was on the podcast, I think we were talking about their coach being sacked.
Yeah, I mean, everything seemed to be going wrong for them.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
We gave them the kiss of life.
Yeah, we got that jinx going.
So what's your highlight been, Typeclub?
My highlight, maybe Liverpool slide. Would have maybe my highlight, yeah.
Oh, you got it. The Hull 1-0 victory over them's got to be up there.
Yeah. And Sterling
Sterling's
selling
going
his
completely
house.
off the boil. Yeah. Apparently, eBay or IBE or however you want to say it has knocked back a deal. eBay. Well, some people call him eBay. It's the Spanish inflection. But apparently, he's knocked back a deal as well.
Yeah, they're struggling with those kids.
They all
I'm not
want
sure
out.
what the problem is.
Yeah,
They should be signing up, shouldn't they?
Yeah, but I guess they want to go to a club that's going to actually win something.
They want
yeah,
trophies.
Now, boys, a debate that's been splitting the forum today. I just wanted to get your takes on it. Speaking of Liverpool and not winning any trophies, Premier League, is it the first division or is it a completely new division?
I
It's
think
a
it's a
completely-
new division.
Yeah, it's a new division, but it's continuation of records.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so if you want to say Chelsea have won 4 Premier League titles, that's accurate. And if you want to say they've won 5 First Division, or they've won 5 top flight titles, that's also accurate.
Yeah, but you can't say that they've won 5 Premier League titles.
No, you can't. Exactly.
Yeah. And it's a completely different competition. So I don't see any issue with saying they've won 4.
Yep, fair enough. Bit interesting seeing the people suggesting that it was the same competition and might have majority have been from one club in particular, so might have been some motivations behind that. But we might move on then, and we're talking about Chelsea's 4th Premier League title. How did you guys see that? Their 1-0 win over Palace, sewing up the title, and then drawing with Liverpool after the Guard of Honour.
Well, they could have won against Liverpool. That would have been a bit better. But again, Chelsea were the best team all year. However disappointing they were, and however disappointing the rest of the teams were.
So do you think the rest of the league was really weak, or Chelsea was the strongest?
I think the league on the whole was pretty weak. I mean, you go back, 5 years, and you had... Well, the Premier League was probably at its strongest between 2000 and... 2006 to about 2010, where they kept on getting into European finals and semi-finals consistently. We got a great United team, a good Chelsea team, a better Liverpool team, not managed by an idiot. And then we had Arsenal, who were, they were in their Arsenal phase there.
I mean, it was good to see Chelsea in 2010 winning the title at a canter and, winning games 8-0 and 6-0 and that sort of thing. They were high scoring, entertaining to watch. As you say, it was kind of a golden age for the Premier League.
Yeah, but I think FIFA Fair Play has... Oh, is that what it's called? UEFA Fair Play?
Financial Fair Play.
Financial Fair Play, yeah. I think it's leveled it out a bit, made it a bit more fair, because these teams can't spend a lot of money anymore. Chelsea and Man City. But then again...
Westwood Woodward's just going to bring out the old wallet, put on your sunglasses and start flashing out £100 notes like there's no tomorrow.
Well, that's the issue, is that you're going to start to see a big gap forming between the clubs that have these huge revenue streams like Man United, and you're seeing teams like Chelsea and Spurs trying to close that gap by, you go on these long pre-season tours to Australia, to China, to wherever, and that's a way to bring in some other streams of income, and might give, you get your big shirt deals, you get your big stadium sponsorships and that sort of thing, and you get revenue in that way.
Yeah, but do you have a noodles partner? or official chip supplier?
Just on that though, Typeclub, what's your take in Spain on the attempts to level the playing field there with the new TV deals?
Well, the thing is, how much do people really want to watch the other teams? I think the reason why you give all the money to the top two is everyone wants to watch them. But I guess if you want to try and spread it like the Premier League, some people might be more interested later on in the other teams if they can strengthen.
Well, that's it, exactly. I mean, you're saying everyone wants to watch Real Madrid and Barca, but that's because they've got the best players. I mean, if you spread the best players out over the top 4 or 5 teams, then you get a bit more competition. The league title becomes a bit more exciting. It means a bit more when they win it, and might be a bit more interesting.
Yeah, I support the new deal more than the current one, because I just think it'll give people something less to complain about.
Real Madrid can test themselves against some decent competition and still come out on top, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy with the top tier of the La Liga, but the bottom half needs to improve. So this should improve that.
And I think, would you say that there's a motivation because of the fact that the Spanish national team isn't performing as well in the last couple of years, that perhaps they're seeing a need to strengthen the whole league to bring through some better Spanish players, or does that not really have a part in it?
I reckon it's got to do with they want the same exposure that the Premier League gets, because the Premier League rakes in so much more money compared to the La Liga overall. So they're trying to improve the whole thing to get a bit more interest in it.
Yep.
Rather than just the two.
Fair enough. We'll move on then and chat about the other end of the table in the Premier League, because that's become a bit more interesting over the last few weeks as well, with the relegation battle really heating up. And we've had 2 teams already relegated from the Premier League on the weekend. We had Burnley relegated despite getting a win, unfortunately, against Hull, and QPR surrendered pretty meekly against Man City, going down 6-0. What have you guys made of their 2 seasons so far?
Well, QPR just wasted, a crap load of money buying a bunch of pensioners, so they've had a pretty shocking season by their standards. I mean, Burnley were good value. I mean, they tried, but again, there's a gulf in class, really.
So do you see the chance for Burnley to bounce right back up, or do you see them going the way that they went last time they went down, where they didn't spend that much money last time either, but they seem to kind of go back down and then struggle to get back up?
Well, how many teams, generally teams, when they get relegated, they don't really tend to bounce back, because you have to bring in a lot more players and have to bet in everything, so they're probably going to finish mid-table or upper mid-table in the championship, you would assume.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. I think the only side with a chance of bouncing straight back, at least this year, is Norwich, obviously, in the playoff semi-finals. So it'll be interesting to see how they go. But you're right, it's a bit more uncommon these days to see teams bounce straight back up.
Yeah, I think they deserve to go down. They've obviously haven't performed well. So, and yeah, when you go down, you don't know the opponents so well, and you can't easily beat them. So you stay down another year.
Be interesting. I mean, they go down despite being undefeated against Manchester City. They got a win and a draw against them, so I guess that's something to hang their hat on. And that's it. I mean, with a club like that, you go in the Premier League for a year, you get some pretty good memories if you can against bigger clubs like they got against Man City, and supporters can sort of look back pretty fondly on the Premier League, as opposed to a team like QPR who have just had a bunch of thrashings.
Yeah, and they had Redknapp as manager, didn't they?
Yeah, so it's not too favourable memories there.
He did his knee.
Yeah, well, does anyone actually know what's happened with that? Is he sort of hobbling around on crutches or something?
He did his knee while looking outside of the window of his car at his drive-through.
It must be pretty serious if he can't.
If he can't manage, yeah. I'm a bit sceptical on that one. But speaking of small clubs in the Premier League, we had Bournemouth confirmed for promotion a week or 2 ago, along with Watford. So it's pretty cool to see Bournemouth getting up. It's a pretty amazing story. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with it, but going from basically broke
to lead the Premier League in 5 years or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Didn't they beat Liverpool or something in a cup match? Or they drew or something?
They might have. I know they definitely played Liverpool in one of the cups this year. I can't remember if they beat them. But they were the top scorers in the championship by a fair way. I think they almost set a new record. Scored about 95 or 98 goals. So they'll be an attractive side to watch next year, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's good to see. I look forward to watching them.
Yeah, it should be good. Now, the important question, boys. One relegation spot remains. Who do you see filling it? We've got Hull 2 points adrift in 17th spot, or 18th spot, I should say. I wish we were 17th. And then we've got Sunderland and Newcastle just above them. Hull's probably the favourite, you guys would agree?
Yeah, no, I reckon Newcastle.
Yeah.
They're
I don't
playing
reckon.
that crap. It's just, I reckon, and because Hull are facing Arsenal, if we get 1 point against Arsenal, we're going to be like not even giving a shit. So, again, it's still a good chance that Hull will escape.
Yeah, I'd say even though they've got that 2-point disadvantage, I think Newcastle have to be favourites based on the goal difference and their form, because they've lost like 8 games in a row or something, haven't they?
Yeah, I think 8 or 9 games in a row. They drew last time out against West Brom, but they didn't look too good in that game either. It'll be interesting. I think everyone's sort of looking at the fixtures on paper, and it looks pretty grim for Hull against Spurs and United. But as you're saying, Cookie, I mean, both sides don't have a whole lot to play for. So if Hull can sort of pull their finger out and actually give it a go, they might escape yet. So it'll be interesting to see. But we'll talk now about the Champions League, and there was a result this morning with Barcelona getting through to the final, and we've already touched on that slightly. How did either of you guys see the game this morning?
I watched most of it, then I fell asleep.
I watched a replay this afternoon, and it wasn't too bad. Pretty entertaining game, to be honest.
Yeah,
First half was good, yeah. First half was good.
It would have been good if Bayern had got a second goal to go 2-0 up early. Could have made the tie pretty interesting.
But Barcelona just killed them. I mean, that front three, I mean, you can't... Pep Guardiola made a massive error playing a high line against them, and some of his selection choices are just baffling at times. I'll say that. I mean, and not helped by injuries too. I mean, don't have Robin, Ribéry, Martinez, and Schweinsteiger just came back from an injury, so again, it's pretty bad for them, but Barcelona probably dominated them in the first leg, and that set them up perfectly.
Yeah, I think one of the commentators was saying you knew what you were going to get with Barcelona. They didn't really pull any surprises at the selection table, and yet Guardiola still came out with a pretty strange lineup for Bayern. So he probably, I guess he blinked first, you could say, in terms of the strategy for the game, and I guess it showed.
Yeah,
but he did a good job for Barcelona, though. Which is the club in his heart. I think he showed him way too much respect before and after the match, because he's coached World Cup winners and Champions League winners, and he's acting like these guys are way better than him. He seemed to resign to defeat before the match, the way he was talking about Barcelona.
Which is pretty surprising, because I would have thought, I mean, Bayern to me seemed like the favourite going into that tie, just based on the fact that Barcelona... To be fair, I mean, in recent weeks they've certainly picked up their form, but they haven't had the sort of season that you're used to from Barcelona. So I was surprised that they emerged victors in it.
Yeah, they're also coming off a treble, and no matter how hard you try, you literally can't top a treble.
Yeah,
it's just impossible. And again, I reckon we are seeing probably a bit of a weakness with Guardiola. He doesn't have he's not prepared to go, right, we might need to be a bit defensive. It's like that's probably a weakness he might need to rectify if he's going to keep on managing. I mean,
he got away with it against Porto.
Yeah, he got away against Porto. He got smashed by Madrid last year against teams that will kill you on the counter-attack or anything like that, and he's too prepared to just go all-in attack instead of just being a bit smarter about it.
Do you guys see him leaving Bayern anytime soon?
Nah, he's there for another season at least.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think he won't renew his contract, but I think he's going to stay there until the end of next season.
No truth to the rumours about Manchester City?
I don't think so.
Nah.
Fair enough.
I think they're going to stick with Pellegrini.
You think they'll keep Pellegrini?
That's what I reckon they'll do, yeah.
Yeah.
For one, I think the same situation, they'll bring in Pep at the end of next season.
Yeah, fair enough. That'd be interesting to see. I mean, in the past, they've been pretty itchy trigger fingers at Man City, so they've been pretty happy to sack managers, but it'll be interesting to see if they stick with Pellegrini. But he'd probably need to give them pretty strong assurances that he'll bring in the right players and he'll become a bit more flexible tactically, you'd think, because it's probably been their failing this season, is that he just hasn't changed tactics when it's been needed.
Well, I think it's a good idea to replace him, but I just don't think they're going to do it based on what they've been saying. And if they don't replace him, I don't know where the improvement's going to come from. They can't spend a whole heap of money, even though they need to. I think their list needs to be improved, but because of FFP, they can't go crazy. So I reckon they're going to wait it out next season. You might have another year where they're not challenging.
Fair enough. And then to the tie tomorrow morning then. Your favourite topic, Typeclub, Real Madrid.
Oh, yeah. I think...
Sorry?
I think the only thing you're going to be seeing in the morning is Ronaldo doing his jump celebration. Just wait for it.
It's the two United goal scorers up against each other, Tevez against Ronaldo. One of them will have to come out on top. Do you reckon they can get over the 1-goal deficit? It's not too much. Now it's at home, isn't it? The second leg.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
They have that vital away goal.
Yeah, they do. So it'll be an interesting one, though. I mean, do you think Juventus will go out and sit back and just sort of try and sit out the tie, or do you reckon they'll kind of try and get that away goal to give them a bit of an advantage and then close it up?
They're hard to read. Their coach is pretty good. He gave out the completely wrong signals before the first leg. They made it out like they were going to copy Atletico style Madrid, but they did the exact opposite. Just a moment. Yeah, and did you hear that?
What?
Don't worry. So, yeah, I mean, Bale needs to have a better match. But overall, they got the away goal. Before the first leg, I was thinking a score loss will be a good result because Real Madrid respond well to pressure, especially in front of their home fans. And on top of that, they had a really bad result on the weekend. So Ronaldo had a pretty shit game too. And he fires up after a bad game. So I don't know. I think we might be seeing that jump celebration.
What's your take, Cookie?
I reckon Madrid will probably win the tie. I mean, they probably have too much quality, and you expect them at home to bounce back. So yeah, I mean, but it depends. I mean, if Juve's midfield can get control of the game, they could win.
Fair enough. I think it'll be an interesting one as well. So we could see El Clasico in the final.
Yeah, and
Clasico.
That'll be fantastic.
Absolutely. So we'll move on then, and we'll have a look at next week's fixtures in the Premier League. And we've got a few pretty decent clashes, and we'll start with your mob, Cookie, which is United up against Arsenal in a pretty big game. It almost battled for automatic qualification to the Champions League, I'd say.
Arsenal have it.
You reckon at Old Trafford?
Well, no, I have the automatic qualification.
Yeah.
I reckon we'll probably either beat or draw them.
Because if you beat them... I mean, I guess they've got that game in hand, so that's probably true. Yeah. If you beat them, it would certainly make it interesting.
Yeah, we need Arsenal to be all Arsenal.
They struggle at Old Trafford. I mean, I know they beat you there in the FA Cup, I think it was. But traditionally, they don't do too well there. How do you reckon you'll line up without Carrick? I mean, it's been a bit interesting in recent weeks, I think Rooney's dropped back into midfield, but you look so much better with Rooney up top.
Yeah, I would not put Rooney in midfield. I mean, he's not a midfielder. That's plainly obvious. I'd put, again, as Arsenal, so Darley Blind would probably, he would line up in defensive midfielder, put Herrera on one side, get Fellaini as the attacking midfielder.
Why hasn't Fellaini has he been starting recent weeks?
Yeah, it's been starting for quite a while now.
Well, then I'm, okay. I haven't watched you guys in a little while, but I was surprised if he's starting, if he's starting, then I don't know why Rooney's been in midfield.
Well, because LBG sees him as more of he's been playing kind of on the left-hand side, linking up with Blind and Young.
Yeah.
Which, when we had our good run of form, they were just destroying teams with Mata, Herrera, and Valencia on the other side. But again, it depends on how well we defend, because essentially Chris Smalling has been doing pretty much half the team's defending. I mean, he's been covering Valencia's ass so many times, it's ridiculous. And he's still playing as a centre-back, so again, it pretty much depends on how we line up. Like, we will probably retain possession of the ball. I mean, we've done that far better than what we've had for probably a good 6 years, I'd say. So yeah, I reckon we will win, because Arsenal will give us more room and they won't park a bus. So I'll probably back us to win like 2-0 or 2-1.
Where's Di Maria at? Is he basically gone?
I reckon he'll stay for I reckon he's still going to stay. It's just he's been out of form.
Because, I mean, I know there's a lot of talk in the media about him going out on loan or being sold to a club, but I mean, his form, the start of the year at least, was pretty impressive. And then, I mean, I guess he's had a couple of injuries which has affected him, but surely if you gave him a run of games in the team again, he'd get back to it.
Yeah, I think that this season's been a write-off for him because he had his house burgled or something like that, and that just shook him up.
Oh, that's right. I think Boyan was talking about that.
What position does he play for LVG?
Oh, he plays on. He just floats around in the attacking sense. He like drifts on the left, then can go on the right, then be in the center.
Do you
I want him.
Do you reckon you could start him and Mata in the same side?
Yeah, just drop Ashley Young. But again, that's the world we live in, where Ashley Young is now a better player than Angel Di Maria. And I'd rather have an 19-year-old in the team ahead of Radamel Falcao.
I think you'd want anyone in the team ahead of him.
Yeah, those sentences a year ago would sound so odd.
So what is your take on the Memphis Depay purchase?
It's a very good signing. I mean, he's got potential, he's got pace, he's got power. He's an intelligent player, being from the Dutch school of football. I mean, he's on his way to a medical right now, so...
They said he's the next Ronaldo.
I hope so. Just hopefully he doesn't like Real Madrid or the color white.
That's what I was thinking. Maybe he'll be a Real Madrid player then.
Nah, but he will be a good player for us. I mean, he trusts Louis van Gaal. He refers him as a second father. So I have tremendously high hopes for him.
Are you concerned at all that this could go the way of last summer, where you make a lot of attacking signings but don't really bolster your defence too much? I mean, I know you're linked to a couple of good defenders. I think Hummels and Gundogan as well. Do you reckon you'll be able to get both of those?
I reckon we'll go Gundogan because, again, for 24 million euros, it's a bargain and a lot of potential. For centre-backs, I would prefer we just get Aymeric Laporte.
Yeah. What about Bale? Gareth Bale?
With Depay, I don't really see the use of Bale, roughly, because...
Damn.
Yeah,
I was hoping Man United might come in with a 100 million bid.
Well, there's apparently rumours going around that Ronaldo will leave Real Madrid and he'll go back to Manchester United.
Yeah, but that source wasn't very good. He said Iker and Ronaldo will leave. I don't think so. It's not a good source.
Never know. Yeah. But again, it's just... What I want for future signings for us is just get a right back, get a centre back,
get another centre back, get another left back.
Like, Shaw is a good player.
Oh, he might be one day.
He's right up there with Thuram and Dani Alves.
He's had a bit of injuries this season. That happens when you go to United. You get cursed.
He's a bit fat too.
I was going to say he's put on a bit of weight.
He's not fat. He's relatively healthy. He's perfectly fine. The people who think he's fat are people who think Angel Di Maria is fat because they're jealous of him.
Di Maria's not fat enough.
However, he does need to stop wearing skinny jeans.
Yeah, I think that was the photo. Didn't help his cause.
It's a bad angle.
We might move on to another game on the weekend, which is an important game for the relegation fight, and that's Newcastle against QPR at Loftus Road, so at home for QPR. You guys were saying earlier, I mean, Newcastle's in pretty poor form. So do you reckon QPR could get a result here?
Wait, I didn't realise Newcastle were playing QPR. So...
Yeah, they're playing QPR.
Yeah, sorry, man. I think Hull's going to get relegated.
Well, have you seen Sunderland's fixtures?
No.
Well, hold your horses until you see those ones. They're pretty tough. Yeah, Newcastle's got QPR and then West Ham to finish off the season, so they might be able to get something there. But to be fair, Newcastle haven't been able to beat anyone really.
Yeah, but they haven't played QPR though.
That's true. I mean, it's interesting though. I was thinking about this earlier. Someone was saying when a team gets relegated, it actually gives the players a bit more freedom. They don't have that pressure of relegation. There's not as much pressure on them, and they kind of can go out and play a bit better sometimes. I mean, I remember when we got relegated in 09-10, we went out and did pretty all right in our last few games.
Yeah, it's like when a coach gets sacked and they respond like the way you wouldn't expect them to.
Yeah,
they play better.
Yeah, so it could be an interesting one. Cookie, what do you reckon?
I'm going for... I have to go for QPR. They're in slightly better form than Newcastle. I know that's not saying much.
At home, QPR aren't too bad, to be honst. They're a lot better than their away form.
Well, anything's better than their away form, really. But yeah, you expect QPR to win. I mean, Newcastle have just been completely and utterly shit within the past 10 weeks.
I actually don't know how they got a point against West Brom, to be honest. I think West Brom just gave up.
Yeah,
Newcastle, they were really good value to get relegated a couple of weeks ago, and I'm disappointed that I didn't jump on.
Yeah, I think they're about $15, and I think around the same time we were paying about $12 after we beat Liverpool, and I'm really kicking myself that I didn't jump on then, because I actually think I had the thought at the time. It's very, very good price for us. So Sunderland play Leicester, Typeclub. They've got Leicester, and then they've got Arsenal, and then they've got Chelsea.
Leicester, Arsenal, and Chelsea.
And Leicester have won 6 of their last 7 games. Their only loss being to Chelsea. So what do you guys reckon in that one? Do you reckon Leicester will keep on their winning ways?
Probably. I mean, Sunderland, they've just been terrible this year. I mean, but however, they're doing their Great Escape style stuff that Wigan used to do, and it's still delaying the inevitable. Their relegation's coming soon, but I reckon Leicester will win.
I just can't understand how they've won their last 2 games. I mean, they got 2 penalties against Southampton, who are a side who, until then, had never given away a penalty this season. And then they scored 2 goals against Everton that were both massive deflections off players who had no idea about it. So they've won their last 2 games with 4 goals that are complete flukes, and I just don't know where they pulled the luck from.
Yeah, it's what I just said. It's the Wigan athletic theory.
Yeah.
You just pull stuff out of your ass and you somehow manage to avoid it. But
Look at that striker who's in form, scoring goals.
Well, it's good to be lucky where you need it most, I guess.
Yeah, you make your own luck, I guess. You got to be making the chances to put them away. But
Wait, so is Bruce still in charge at Hull?
He is.
All right. How do you reckon? What's up with that?
Yeah, well, the situation basically is that our owner has no clue about football, and he sees Bruce as the guy that got us promoted. He sees Bruce as the guy that got us to an FA Cup final, and he thinks, well, what's wrong with Bruce? You know, he can just do anything, really. So he thinks if we get relegated, Bruce will just take us back up, and if we stay up, well, Bruce has got a good record with us in the Premier League. So I don't actually know what could happen for him to be sacked, and I think it's more likely that if we got relegated, Bruce might say, well, you know, thanks very much, but I'm off to Newcastle or somewhere that'll, you know, give me a job in the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, even if you get relegated, are you going to stick with him too?
Yeah,
because I think I heard that somewhere.
That's what it sounds like. He's been given a new 3-year deal, and it's, you know, wow. Yeah, exactly. So, it's an interesting one. Half the City supporters are pretty happy to keep him, and half of them pretty unhappy because his tactics this season have been pretty questionable. His management of injured players has been pretty questionable, and his signings have been pretty questionable. So, I mean, there's not much that he's done right this year.
Yeah.
I think even about halfway through the year, a lot of journalists were saying if he kept us up this year, it's almost his best season with us, because we just had such an atrocious start, and it's looking ever more unlikely.
I think he's got to go.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. I mean, the owner might go before he does, and if he goes, then Bruce will be on the way out pretty quickly, you'd think.
No man can be bigger than the club.
Yes, well, exactly. So yeah, Hull has Tottenham away at White Hart Lane in our game, and interestingly, Newcastle, Sunderland, and Hull are all playing at the same time, so it's a little bit of a mini final day, you could say, for the relegation battle. So it'll be one to keep an eye on all 3 games. I think fans of all 3 clubs will be, you know, ears glued to the radio sets wherever they are, making sure that the other sides are losing their games. But we've done all right at White Hart Lane, to be honest. I think the stats read, you know, 1 goal conceded in our 3 Premier League games there, and that goal was a penalty. So not a bad record. I think 1 win, 1 draw, and 1 loss. So there's hope yet. I mean, Spurs lost last week to Stoke, so we'll see what happens.
Oh yeah, yep. Definitely.
Just never know.
Never know. We'll move on then and chat about transfers. We talked about Depay going to Man United. What else is on the transfer rumour radar that you guys have picked up on?
I've picked up that Chelsea are looking to go shopping at Atletico Madrid, which I think is really good. They're looking at Griezmann, and I reckon he'll just take them to another level, you know. If they put him on the right side, Hazard on the left, Costa in the middle, that's it. That's back-to-back right there.
Yeah, and Oscar drops to the bench, or sell him, or...
I thought Oscar might be getting transferred.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Whom I don't know, but...
It was interesting that Mourinho forced Mata out only about 12 months ago, saying that he wanted to build a side around Oscar, and now Oscar's not the flavour of the month anymore.
Yeah,
well, it's Mourinho. He does sometimes silly things, I guess.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Chelsea fans are pretty adamant that Oscar is not going anywhere. I don't know. It's an anomaly, really, that he's getting phased out, but everything's fine. So I'm not sure. I keep asking about him, but getting mixed receptions.
And then what's the story with Czech, do we think? Is he staying or going? I mean, seem to have been mixed signals lately about whether they want to keep him or sell him. Where do we see him going off to?
Well, it depends on, is De Gea leaving? If yes, he could be going to United, he could be going to Arsenal, or he could be going to Besiktas.
Do you reckon,
or maybe PSG.
Do you reckon Chelsea would sell to a rival in the Premier League, though? In Arsenal or United or someone?
Well, did we think Mourinho would sell Mata to us?
Yeah,
albeit we were managed by boys.
So you guys are the mid-table club.
Requirements.
Yeah, and they'll get Dan Green in.
Who's that?
The QPR keeper.
All right.
Is it Dan Green? No,
Yeah.
what's his name? Rob Green. Rob Green. That's it.
No, they're not getting him, are they?
Yeah, I think so. As backup.
Wow.
It was either him or who was the other one that they were linked to? I can't remember now. I think it was another mid-table.
Something green.
It was some other mid-table club's keeper they were going to sign. I can't remember who though.
Well, the other thing I think Chelsea should be looking at is the other Atletico Madrid player, Cocker.
Oh yeah.
He's a midfielder, and if they want a bit more depth in the middle, I think he'd be a really good option. They've had good success with the Spanish players from Spain, like Costa and Fabregas. So I think if they get Cocker and Griezmann, and they also want a centre back as well, maybe to replace Cahill. So,
well, I saw they were being linked to Stones from Everton, which would be an interesting one, just as like a long-term prospect.
Yeah, what do you reckon of him? I don't know. I haven't seen much of him.
I've seen a little bit. I mean, he's pretty young, so to be essentially a regular in a Premier League side is pretty good at his age. But when you consider he's only keeping Distan out of the side, it's not a huge achievement, I guess.
Distan, yeah.
Ruddy was the keeper I was thinking of, by the way. I think they linked to him from Norwich. But yeah, no, Stones would be a good long-term option, I think. He's definitely going to be a quality player.
Maybe they could give Iker Casillas a contract, get him out of Real Madrid. He could be a good backup.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so I'd definitely recommend Griezmann, Cocker, Iker Casillas, and maybe Miranda.
Yep.
From Atletico as well, yeah.
So Chelsea is just going to be Atletico Madrid Volume 2. Atletico London.
Well, it's better than Liverpool being Southampton, Liverpool.
Yeah, and they seem to have a good relationship. And then also, if they do decide to get rid of Mourinho, they can just bring Simeone over.
Yeah, they need to know all the players anyway.
That's right. And they've got the same style of play. So I definitely think Griezmann and Cocker to start with, and maybe Miranda as well would be a good shout for them. I don't know. I think you have to look at FFP as well. So it depends how much they're allowed to spend, because they might not have a PSG coming in with 50 million for a fringe player, you know. So.
Well, speaking of FFP, the last topic I wanted to touch on tonight with QPR's relegation is word that they'll be hit with a £58 million fine if they go back to the Championship, and I think they're refusing to pay it. So I think if they refuse to pay it, Football League won't let them back in, and they'll go all the way down to the conference.
Who's asking for the money?
I think it's the Football League, which will then be given. I think the fine would go to charities, but I'm not sure.
Ooh, it's just. So, I reckon they'll pay a fine. It won't be that big because they'll probably expect QPR to be a bit crap this season or next season.
Yeah, I think they've already taken it to court. I think proceedings have started in the last few days, so it'll certainly be interesting. What do you guys reckon about FFP? Do you reckon it's good for clubs, or in this case, obviously, it's not great for QPR?
They've got to play fair. If they don't want to get fined, it's all about fairness. I think this whole initiative, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean it's interesting because, like we're saying, I mean, United and Arsenal and Man City and stuff can still spend quite a lot because they have all these extra revenue streams, and you say, well, fair enough, they've got them, they should be able to use them. But then you look at a club like West Brom or an Aston Villa who don't have that available to them. They're being limited in what they can spend.
I reckon it'll probably be. Again, they had to stop Chelsea and Man City from spending stupid amounts of money.
Yeah, it wasn't
because, fair. I mean, what justification is it that clubs like Arsenal and United work their asses off to generate the income, and yet you can just buy all the best players and be all with an Arab sheik and just win everything. I mean, that just seems like stupid for the rest of the competition and invalidates it. And if financial fair play was brought in, say, 10 years earlier or before Chelsea started going on their ridiculous thing, I reckon Liverpool would probably won a league title. I reckon Tottenham would be in the Champions League. Arsenal would be stronger, and Everton will be a hell of a lot better because it won't just be a big four with occasional hang-ons. Like there'll be a bit different sides. United and Arsenal won't chase more revenue because of it, which means there'll be a more even competition.
Yeah,
and it's overall a bit more fair, and like Real Madrid might have done a bit better too if they didn't have to deal with the unfairness of it all.
Real Madrid just splashed money around like there's no tomorrow. Nothing stops them.
Yeah.
Well, it's more Perez.
They've got the income. Yeah.
Anyway,
he's got to sanction the moves. So.
Yeah. We'll move on and finish up with Cookie. Do you have a fell on the floor nominee for the week or the last couple of weeks? And I know there's one player in particular I might nominate if you can't think of anyone.
Well, there have been some bad dives so far. I'm trying to recall some of them.
Ronaldo is a pretty safe bet usually.
One who's made papers even over here, despite playing for some would say, small club, is Ahmed El Mohammadi from Hull City in his game against Arsenal. An Arsenal player went to kick the ball in our box. El Mohammadi was standing not that close to him and went down as if he'd been shot to play for the high boot free kick, and he won it. So I don't know whether you say that's a bad dive or a good dive, but if you see the footage of it, it's a pretty shocking dive, pretty atrocious.
Actually, we do have a nomination. It's Jerome Boateng.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Not the diving, but
not the diving, but he definitely fell on the floor.
Yeah, it's the winner for this week because he got destroyed.
You don't necessarily have to dive to fall on the floor.
Yeah.
You just have to look like an idiot and
got pretty messy there.
Like an idiot.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts, boys?
Just look out for that jumping celebration from Ronaldo. I think that's all you're going to see very soon.
It's Gerard's last home game. That'll be interesting.
Against Crystal Palace as well. I mean, flashbacks to last year, 3-3.
Miracle for Istanbul.
I wonder if you'll be feeling the buzz.
Yes. Anyway, thanks very much for coming on, boys.
All right, thanks.
No worries, and thanks to everyone else for listening in. Until next week, we'll see you on the forums.